Eamon Whalen can carry the men's team, and which fall rookies have stood out the most. Plus, our final rollers, and so much more. You won't want to miss. Welcome into Bobcat Breakdown. I am your host, Matt Petrie, and tonight I'm joined by Tom Krasnowski and Ryan Flaherty. Tom, we've been debating on WQAQ radio since freshman year, but Ryan's been talking a lot of smack. Maybe he should be joining me Saturdays at 3.
We'll see how we feel at the end of this show. He has been talking a big game, but I don't know. That could be a tough ask.
You know, I'm just excited to be here. Tom is a veteran analyst, but I think I can take him down tonight.
Let's go kicking off the show with women's soccer. They currently sit at 4-3 and have been bolstered by the return of senior goalie Olivia Misiewski. But in her absence, freshman Megan Phillips has shined in her 5 starts. Tom, which goalie should the team go with moving forward?
Now, ordinarily, I'm the guy who sometimes says, you can go with the hot hand, but looking at the makeup of this women's soccer team, it's got to be Olivia Misiewski. Let's look at her career numbers first. 1.37 goals against average, a 775 save percentage, exemplary, and a 22-18-5 record. 3 years of excellence for 3 playoff teams. It's true that Megan Phillips has been very good. It's true that she's the future of this team in net moving forward in future years. And it's true that her numbers are very good. But she's only played 458 minutes, 5 games. Olivia Misiewski's played 10 times the amount of minutes. For a team that is projected to finish second in the MAC, and is expected to really go deep into the season, you got to go with the seasoned veteran. Misiewski's did nothing to lose the job.
I'm going to completely disagree with Tom here. I think you've got to ride the hot hand in Phillips, and we just saw a case of this last season with the men's soccer team. Jared Mazzola comes in, not having played much for the team, plays games, plays very effectively, and they rode him all the way to a berth in the MAC title game. So you got to go with Phillips here. She's 4-2, 3 shutouts in only 6 games as a freshman. Allowed 6 goals in 6 games, so she's got a goals against average of just 1. And to be completely honest, as you said, she's the hot hand right now, so why, with the program off to one of its quickest starts since 2012, why would you go back to Misiewski?
Well, that's mostly out of conference. In fact, it's all out of conference for Phillips so far. I haven't seen what she can do in conference yet. Also, for the Mazzola comp, he's not a freshman like Phillips is this season. There was a little bit more expectation for him. Misiewski has just been too good for too long to lose her job. She hasn't done anything to warrant that. And when you just look at her numbers, you see excellence. This is a goalie who's been top 5 in the MAC in saves, shutouts, goals against, and save percentage the last 2 years. She's one of the better goalies in the MAC. I don't see any reason to go change it up.
Oh, for me, Dave Clark starts with Megan Phillips. He obviously saw something over the summer that led him to go to Megan Phillips first. So for me, if he already believes that Megan Phillips was the better goalie to start, she hasn't shown me anything on the field why she should come off. 3 shutouts in her first 6 games. As a freshman, she is adjusting very well to the new style of play in college soccer. Like you said, unlike Mazzola, she is a freshman, which I think makes this all the more impressive that she is a freshman.
It's impressive. I will trust the veteran when it comes to conference play. That's just me.
All right, I'm going with the hot hand.
Well, it's safe to say that no matter what they choose, they're in safe hands. Last week, Max Schreiber and Mike Dalton took a look at who should start in net for the Bobcats. Let's see what the guys had to say.
Come conference play. Which goalie do you want playing? Dalton or Misiewski?
Well, it's simple, Roberto. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Megan Phillips, she's had 3 shutouts already, and we're 5 matches into the entire season.
And especially now out of conference play, it's really just a good opportunity for her to get her feet wet, and she has exceeded all expectations. So once they get into MAC play, if things start to go wrong, they can obviously make a change. But for right now, I think that Megan Phillips has solidified her place in net for Quinnipiac.
From saving goals to scoring them, Dave Clark has experimented with his forwards so far this campaign. Coach Flaherty, who would you put in the front 3?
So my front 3 right now is Allie Grunstein, Gretchen Cron, and Rosie Weaver. Now this might be a little bit of an out there front 3, but for me, I think this group of forwards is so deep that you can really work with a combination of forwards here. The reasoning I have behind Grunstein, Cron, and Weaver, as you see here, is Grunstein first is your veteran, your leader, your vocal presence on the field. She is one of the better forwards to begin with, and I think she brings a presence on the field that this team needs. Cron has been playing very well, been in the right place at the right time, scored a goal on only 2 shots, and now you're probably saying, well, she's only taking 2 shots. Why is she in your starting 3? Again, there's something to be said about being in the right place in the right time, being there when her teammates are setting her up on chances. And then finally, Weaver, she's a freshman, I know, but again, already contributing 1 assist to this team, and I think she can fill the role of Goldring and Triglione and be the next the leader on this team.
Well, that's a great lineup given what the situation is right now. But I took this question a bit of a different direction. I went with the caveat here that we're assuming full health and full availability for all these players. Lauren Triglione and Kelsey Goldring have missed time for undisclosed reasons, but assuming that they can come back this season, they've got to be the starters in the front 3. Triglione's a playmaker. She has the highest shooting percentage of any Bobcat that took 10 shots last season. She's one of the few proven scorers on this team. If she's available, she's starting. Same for Goldring. Led the team in goals and points last year and this year as well. She's also an accurate shooter. Over 50% of her shots are on goal, which is a little rare for someone on this young team. I agree with you on Grunstein, veteran. I know she had a bit of a slow start this season in terms of scoring, but her first 2 years scored 8 goals, 29 points, and last year led the team in assists. So I have total confidence that she's going to come around. As for Crone, great support player, but she's never started a game in her career, so right now I'm not going to name her a starter. Weaver's been impressive as a freshman, but I've already said I'm going to go with the veterans over freshmen for me, so I think we're just kind of back at square one where we were at the last debate.
And I think, an important thing to notice here is that Dave Clark, I don't even think he knows what his front 3 wants to be yet. He makes a lot of substitutions. I talked about this forward group being so deep that there's so many different ways you can go. And as you said, assuming health, you have to put Goldring and Triglione with their talent and what they can do on the field. But if you can't assume health and you have to go with what is being given to you, I think that there's a lot of options you can go with, but I think mine's the best.
Women's soccer finished 6th last season and nabbed the final playoff spot. This year, they're projected to finish 2nd. Tom, where do you see them finishing this time around?
Yeah, Petrie, the Max said they'd finish 2nd. I'm going to go a little softer. I'm going to say 3rd to be safe here. That's because there's a couple of things so far that I know it's out of conference play, but still have gotten me a little bit concerned. Not enough goal scoring so far through these first 5 games. Some of that's due to the absence of some key players. I still think 3rd place is a big improvement from where they were last year in 6th. But 5th among MAC teams in goals and shots. They were 5th and 6th in those categories last year. So I'm not sure if there's enough offensive improvement. I do know this team is stout defensively. I do know they have 2 good goaltenders. I know Dave Clark's a very good coach for this team. So I can see this team doing well. I can see them doing well in the MAC. But until I see a little bit more from the offense, I'm going to go a little short of 2nd. I'm going to say they come in 3rd.
So for most of the same reasons, I do have them at 2nd. You just talked about their stout defense. They have probably one of the better back lines in the MAC. They have 2 good goalies, as we just talked about, Megan Phillips and Olivia Myszewski. So either way they do decide to go, they have a solid girl in net. And then, as you said, the offense, right now it's not clicking. And we just talked about their options and how many different ways they can go. But I think once they get into conference play, once they start to settle into their season and their schedule, I think you're going to see this team start to score more goals, and that's why I think they're going to end up in 2nd. Obviously, I don't think they're going to take down Monmouth. Monmouth has been the powerhouse of this conference for however many years now. I don't think they can claim that number 1 spot, but I do think they're right there with that defense and with the goaltending that they should be able to finish 2nd.
You just seem to have a little more faith in the offense than I do right now. For me, being in the same place in goals and shots as they were last year, I'd just like to see a little more improvement before I can say 2nd place.
It'll be exciting to see how the season pans out. Walking down a few steps from the soccer field to the field hockey stadium, Beckham Maine's squad has looked like they have improved from last year. Ryan, where has their biggest improvement been?
I think their biggest improvement has to be goaltending. Right now, this is another offense that's not clicking. They're only scoring 1.2 goals a game as opposed to their opponents who are 2.6 goals per game. So the goaltending for me has been the biggest jump. We saw them go out to California on their West Coast swing. They stayed in games with teams that are probably a lot better than they are, and it was because of goaltending. And I feel like for them to continue to be competitive in the Big East this year against teams like UConn and Liberty, they're going to need to have that sustainability at the goalie position.
Ryan, I've got to say, I completely agree with you. The biggest improvements by far have been the goaltending. Quinnipiac's got a cool little history of good, dynamic goaltending duos. Think Shortridge and Petrozelli last year, Yakovitis, Mazzola, Phillips, and Myshevsky, as we just talked about. So it's cool here. They have two freshman goalies, Bierman Ratyan and Varel, who have been really impressive so far. Their save percentages are over 75%, which is much better than this program's seen in a long time. When they lost Livy Golini, who was a captain, she transferred. There was a hole last year. Hannah Teicher, she tried her best, but the numbers just weren't up to snuff. But this year, moving forward, Varel, Bierman Ratyan, they've been stellar. Bierman Ratyan got a shutout in her first ever NCAA start, and I credit some of that to that California trip for prepping both of the goalies. I don't know how Becca Maine's going to split the time between the two of them because they've both been so good so far, but she really can't go wrong. It's been by far the biggest improvement. The offense is still a little hot and cold. The defense can also, you can kind of say the same thing for them, but the goaltenders, they've kept them in every single game this year.
Tom, you're around this team a lot as a broadcaster. How many wins will the Bobcats pick up in the Big East play?
Well, Petrie, I think I have the Bobcats with 3 in the Big East right now. That's one more than last year, but that might not be enough necessarily to make the playoffs. I think this team's improved, but I'm not sure if they've improved enough to beat some of the top dogs. UConn's a top 5 program. Liberty's a top 20 program. Old Dominion is kind of a thorn in Quinnipiac's side. But I think Quinnipiac has a chance to win the rest of its conference games. They've beaten Georgetown the last 2 years. We'll say they do it again. Temple, the worst team in the conference. They can probably beat them. That leaves Villanova and Providence, and I could see Quinnipiac splitting those games. But if they win them both, they'd have 4. If they split them, they got 3. Somewhere between 3 and 4, I think, is the right fit. But one thing's for sure. If they're going to make the playoffs, they're going to need to take all 4 of those other games against the inferior opponents.
Well, I have to completely agree with you. I actually have the same thing written down in my notes. I have them going 3 and 4. You know, you look at teams like Georgetown, Temple, and I'll give them the win at Villanova because they're at home. I think Providence is kind of that swing game like you talked about. They're at Providence this year, so that's a tough game. You know, Providence has a very strong offense. Quinnipiac's offense is struggling right now, so I'm going to give that to Providence. And then you talked about the teams that are kind of in the upper echelon of the Big East, the UConns, the Liberty. I just don't see Quinnipiac pulling any shocking upsets right now, so I think having another year of 3 and 4 for Becca Maine's squad.
The Claws are out tonight, but more heat will be brought in the second block. Can Eamon Whalen carry the men's soccer team to victory once more in the MAC? And who does Tom and Ryan think are the rookies of the year? We'll be back in 2 minutes.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Back to the action in Studio 125. Matt Petrie here, still joined by Tom Krasnowski and Ryan Flaherty. Eamon Whalen can score in bunches and in clutch situations. He was voted as the preseason All-MAC Player of the Year and is one of the most lethal goal scorers in all of college soccer. But can he carry this Bobcats team?
Well, Petrie, Eamon Whalen is, like you said, an outstanding scorer, but all by himself, I don't think he can carry this team. He's sort of a pure striker. He does his best work inside of 15 feet, and he's one of the best in the nation at it. He's one of the best pure finishers. I don't know if he has enough of a support cast right now around him, because he needs players like Rashawn Dowley and Matt Taylor setting him up, giving him these opportunities inside. Eamon Whalen's not a guy who really creates a lot of his own offense. He's more of a finisher. So until I see guys setting him up more, I'm not sure he can carry it by himself. Only 2 other players on the team even have goals so far. Only 1 other even has 10 shots. So he's really carrying the offense, but the offense only has 5 goals in 5 games. So it's been a little disappointing. It's almost like saying that Alex Ovechkin has to carry the Capitals, or formerly that Odell Beckham has to carry the Giants. And, you know, the thing with snipers and receivers is they need someone passing them the ball first before they do their best work. So for me, although Whalen is an awesome player, I just don't know if he can, quote-unquote, carry this team by himself.
Yeah, I think, you know, the answer here is probably not. But if there's any one player at Quinnipiac, if there's any Quinnipiac athlete that I think can carry his or her team, I think it would have to be Eamon Whalen. You just heard Petrie say he was the unanimous MAC Offensive Player of the Year. Right now he's 5th in career goals among active players in the nation. He was an first-team All-East region and led the MAC in points per game, goals, and goals per game last season. So if there's anyone who can carry this team, it's Eamon Whalen. But I do agree with Tom that, like Odell Beckham, like some of those stars, you need someone passing the ball, and I think that Eamon Whalen needs someone to get him the ball. And so probably not. He probably can't carry this team, but if anyone can do it, it would be him.
Well, the thing is, all those stats you referenced were from last year. They were with a different cast, one of the better ones that QU has had. Just look at 2017, when Whalen was really supposed to be the guy, and he only scored 2 goals. The offense really didn't click that much. I think that's proof enough he needs help. You know, he's a great finisher, but unless someone steps up in the midfield setting him up, I'm not sure.
All right, guys, now it's time to bring out the panic meters. The team has only won once this year. Whalen scored with under 2 minutes left to take it down Sacred Heart 2-1. Ryan, are you panicking in any sort of way?
Matt, I'm not panicking whatsoever. We saw it with this team last year. I did a pre-tape for this sports department. They were 0-4-1, and I said, don't panic because this team is still very good. And now we just talked with Tom. It's a different cast of characters. But I do think that there's no reason to panic here. They consistently play a tough non-conference schedule, as they've done this year. And by the time they hit MAC games, they're ready to, their offense is clicking, their defense is clicking. So I'm not panicked at all, and I think they have 8 freshmen right now. Once these freshmen are acclimated to how Eric DaCosta wants them to play and the style of soccer that this team wants to play, I think this team will be just fine.
Well, out of the options on our lovely panic meters, courtesy of Pat and Connor, I am going to go with concern. I'm going to go in the middle there because I'm just not sure I'm seeing enough from the offense right now. Like you said, I know it's out of conference, but 5 goals in 5 games just isn't enough for me for a team that really was a really good offense last year. They had weapons all over, and I'm just not sure I'm liking what I'm seeing with the lack of scoring so far. I guess again, I'm concerned. I'm not rattled. I'm not panicking. I don't think that the season's over or anything. They're not even in MAC play yet, but I'm a little bit concerned. I think they need to see more offense from these guys. It's what helped them succeed last year, and I think they're going to need that to help them succeed again this year.
Personally, I am not panicked about men's soccer one bit. But there may be cause for concern for the rugby team. Quinnipiac lost to Army 49-0 their last time out, their second 40-point loss in 3 games. Tom, what was more concerning to you, that they couldn't stop the scoring or that they couldn't put up points themselves?
Well, Matt, they say offense wins games, defense wins championships. In the last couple games, Quinnipiac's had neither. But I think the bigger concern is the defense because it's a big part of QU Rugby's historic identity. They don't give up a lot of points when they dominate, but they've given up 128 points in 3 games. Now, I want to tell you about the last 4 times they played Army before this year, all right? Last 4 times, Quinnipiac won 42-22, 62-5, 65-8, 32-19. That's 54 points allowed over 4 games. Quinnipiac allowed just about the same amount of that over one game to Army, and that's just, it's too much. You can score all the points in the world, but if you are not stopping teams on defense, you're never going to win a game. I think every team goes through a scoring drought, and you can overcome that, but a defensive meltdown that's out of character for this program, it's a little bit concerning. The 57 and 49 they've allowed, it's the most they've allowed since 2012.
I just think offensively, you can't win games if you don't score points. If you defensively, you hold the team to 0 points, but you score 0 points, you don't win the game. So you can't win games unless you score points, and that is a huge problem for this team right now. They have 10 points through 2 conference games, and that's just not going to fly. Yes, I agree that defensively giving up 50 points a game is probably not a roadmap for success, but you have to score points to win games, and I think rugby's such a high-scoring sport that it's the offense that's really troubling me.
Everyone loves a rookie that emerges from the spotlight and plays like a veteran. My personal favorite from last year, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield quite clearly is a Cleveland Brown and not a Quinnipiac Bobcat. So now I'm going to put a QU spin on this question. Let's start with men's soccer. Ryan, who's the Rookie of the Year?
Much of the talk in this season has been who is going to replace Rashawn Dolly. How are they going to get Eamon Whalen the ball, as we just talked about? So my pick for Rookie of the Year is Thomas Svekulia. I think he's the man to do it. He already has 2 assists and 12 shots for this team. He's been consistently there as a forward, making plays, and I think as the season progresses, as we get into conference play, that's a name you're going to want to keep an eye on.
I think Svekula, is a good pick, but I'm going to go with Henry Wigand. All right, this guy has played every minute this year, which is the ultimate sign of trust from head coach Eric DaCosta. He's also learning from a lot of valuable defenders, Jordan Bennett, Simon Hillinger, Connor McCoy. They'll teach him the right way, but the fact that Wigand has played every single minute so far as a rookie, it really stands out to me. I think that the coach trusts him, and he's going to be the top rookie at the end of the year.
Tom, which rookie stands out to you on the women's soccer team?
Well, it's kind of a similar situation here with Olivia Scott. She's my pick because she is also a freshman defender who played a lot of minutes for Dave Clark. Not quite every minute, but a lot of minutes nonetheless. But she also has a little bit of an offensive edge, too. She has a goal, a couple points on the year, tied for the team lead with 4 points. So the fact that she can contribute on offense and defense, I think she's the standout freshman.
I'm going to take another midfielder, another standout freshman, Markayla Bailey. She has been really impressive to me because of her footwork. She has been setting up the offense for Quinnipiac, and it's been a little bit of a slow start, but it seems like every time that Quinnipiac has a great chance, it's off the foot of Markayla Bailey. There's a lot of press being given to Olivia Scott and Megan Phillips, rightfully so, but I think Bailey is a name you should look out for.
And Ryan, which field hockey newcomer has stood out to you?
So to me, it's Ava Veldhorst. Now, another offense is struggling here. A couple of top scorers for this field hockey team aren't really producing. Brooke Whitby, Michaela Adams, and Amanda Blum. I like Veldhorst to slot in. She already has an assist on the year. I think she can be the person that sparks this offense.
I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one. I'm going to go goalies collective because I don't know if Hedda Bierman-Ratyan or Mac Varel is going to get more playing time, but they've both been so impressive. We've already been over it. Their save percentage is just so much higher than anyone else in the program over the last couple of years. They really stood out in California. They stood out against Sacred Heart. Again, I don't know how the time is going to be split between the two, but you really can't go wrong. The 2 goalies are just so good this year.
And finally, Tom, which new face in volleyball has shown the brightest?
I'm going to go with Ariana Diaz. She's already off to a banner start for the team because she's 5th on the team in points, 5th on the team in kills, 2nd in serves, and 2nd in digs. That is a stat patter across the board. Does a little bit of everything. Easy pick.
Now it's time for our final roars, where we will each have about a minute to discuss just what about anything in the Q world. How about you start us off, Tom? Oh. Yeah, oh, yeah. Yeah, oh, go to commercial break, sorry.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Now it's time for our final roars, where we will each have about a minute to discuss just about anything in the world of QU sports. How about you start us off, Tom?
Gladly. It might seem weird to say that there are a lot of positives around the Quinnipiac field hockey team with just a 1-4 record, but looking strictly at the box scores would be a disservice to the Bobcats. The team opened its season in California, facing several top teams, and while the goal is ultimately to win, the Bobcats also got several intangible victories from this difficult trip. The team bonded over this cross-country trek and picked up valuable experience playing difficult foes. Remember when the Quinnipiac women's basketball team played several Big Ten opponents early on prior to a berth in the NCAA Sweet 16? Or when the women's hockey team hosted Ohio State last year? Tough out-of-conference schedules do more good than harm. You only learn by challenging yourself and playing the best, and the field hockey team will be better off for it once Big East Conference play begins.
There's been a lot of hype surrounding last year in Quinnipiac athletics. Both men's and women's soccer teams are poised to make deep playoff runs. Men's hockey finished 7th in the nation. Women's basketball owns the MAC, and the baseball team just won a conference championship. Now, most of the focus goes to the players, and rightfully so, but let's take a step back and look at the real foundations of these programs. The coaches. Dave Clark is coaching in his 20th season. Eric DaCosta in his 15th. Rand Pecknold in his 26th. Trisha Fabry in her 25th. And John Delaney in his 6th. Is anyone else seeing a trend here? The best teams on campus don't just win on talent. They're built from long hours, watching film, recruiting, and running tough practices. These dedicated coaches have spent decades not only providing a roadmap for success on the field, but cultivating relationships and providing important life lessons off the field. So next time the hockey team wins a big game, or the basketball team wins its conference, let's remember to give credit where credit is due.
We're still 2 months away from basketball season, but that shouldn't stop Bobcat Nation from getting excited about Quinnipiac's newest addition, Seth Pinckney. Standing at an imposing 7 feet tall, Pinckney represents one of the first featured big men that Baker Dunleavy has recruited. Pinckney joins junior redshirt Kevin Marfo in the paint, giving Quinnipiac an imposing front court. Joining a group full of talented underclassmen, such as his former Archbishop Wood Catholic teammate Tyree Pickren, Pinckney figures to terrorize MAC opponents for years to come. Thanks for joining us tonight on Bobcat Breakdown. That's all the time we have tonight. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports and make sure to click on our website, q30tv.com. For Tom, Ryan, and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Matt Petrie, and have a great night.